calls for more countries to be put on a red list or for our borders to be closed completely. Where are you on that?
I think the system needs to be strengthened. So even now, only 1% of travellers are being covered by hotel quarantine. That's much lower than what was expected when the government announced the policy. 99% of people aren't covered by hotel quarantine. And we also have that the majority of
What's your understanding? Sorry to interrupt. What's your understanding of why that is so?
So I think it's because they've restricted it to a certain number of those red list countries. The majority of people come from other places. And of course, what we know from the first wave is it wasn't just the red list countries, but the highest rate of countries that meant we had cases coming into the UK. In the first wave, it was less than 1% of cases came from China, over 60% which weren't being at the time. So I think that's why you can't just concentrate on a small number of areas. So that's the first problem. The second problem, I think, the majority of people arrive and still can travel home on public transport. So even if they're going to self-isolate at home, they're travelling home by public transport and they're not tested at the airport first. If you look at what South Korea does, what Australia or New Zealand do, they have both a bigger hotel quarantine systems, but they also have testing at the airport. In South Korea's case, they have safe transport systems to get you home so you don't have to go on public transport. I think that's the range of things the government should be looking at.
Where are you when it comes to summer holiday? So many people want to plan. You can understand that, obviously.
Oh God, don't we all? All of us are desperate to be able to get a holiday in the sunshine. So we asked the Home Secretary about that last week, and she said it was too early for people to be booking now because the government's going to report on the 12th of April on their assessment of where we are with new variants, but also with how the impact on the vaccine programme and what the spread is and so on across the world as well as here in the UK. Some of the scientists we heard from also said that some of the border restrictions actually become more important as UK cases start to fall than they were before. So I think the government should be levelling with people because, to end up booking holidays and then not being able to get your money back and so on, it can be a real problem for people. So the government does need to be clear and not have our expectations rise if the China result is not going to be possible.
To be fair, the government has made clear that every date that has been laid out in its roadmap is a provisional date and all dependent on the data. It's not dependent on data, it's dependent on the data. But that still hasn't stopped people from booking foreign trips. Yeah. And as long as they're booking it through an ATOL protected provider, they should be safe.
Yeah, and I think people have to make their own decisions and decide what risk they want to take or how cautious to be. But I think the advice from the Home Secretary to us was it's too soon to be booking overseas holidays, and we'll obviously wait and see what the government comes out with on the 12th of April. That's when they said they'll report back. I think some of what happened when they announced they were going to do this report and come forward on the 12th of April, there was a bit of an expectation that meant all the restrictions might then be lifted, within a month or so after that. And that's where I think, if the evidence is we've still got to take action on new variants, what we've seen from places like New Zealand or South Korea and so on, is they've actually got far fewer restrictions within their countries because they have stronger border policies in place. So they've still got people back at school, they've had big sporting events, big social events able to take place, but they do have tighter restrictions around people travelling.
Yeah, those had a different timetable to us as well in terms of...
They moved faster. They moved much more quickly right back at the very beginning compared to what we did.
Can I talk to you about something slightly different before we go? I'm sure you'll be aware of this. Sister from Drag Race UK, RuPaul's Drag Race UK, wrote a piece over last week about online abuse she received. And then over the weekend, my colleague and BBC rugby reporter Sonia McLaughlin spoke about the abuse she got online because of a robust interview she conducted with Owen Farrell. In fact, it was just an interview. She was doing her job. I know you are more than aware of the misogyny that is levied against women in media and in with high profiles. Are you still getting abuse?
Oh, I think all MPs and some women MPs, all MPs do get abuse. And also as a result of it, we tend not to actually look at a lot of the comments that we get. And I think this is a problem, and it affects people, it affects people, it may affect people in public life, but it affects lots of people who aren't in public life as well, and can find in response to something they said, they suddenly get a huge pile of abuse, of racism, of homophobia, or misogyny, as you say. I do think that the social media companies need to do more to address this, but it's also a responsibility on all of us to show a bit more respect. People say things online that they would never say to someone they met in the street. They would never say to someone they were talking to in the pub. And this sort of acceptability of saying things online, I think just has to change. How do you deal with it? I think often, sometimes I just don't read things, sometimes, and it's going ups and downs. You have different phases where actually you don't have anything that's difficult to deal with at all. But I think it's also a responsibility on social media companies, because almost we can try and grow thicker skins, but actually we shouldn't be treating each other like this. And the social media companies should make sure that there is a bit more protection for people against that kind of child abuse and so on. It's just unfair.
I'm sorry we have to actually talk about that, to be completely honest. I'd have rather had a really good conversation about whether or not you agree with the quarantine rules at the moment, but it is what it is. Yvette Cooper is Labour Chair of the Home Affairs Select Committee. Thank you. Talk to you again soon. Take care. Thanks. Look, the reason we were talking about online abuse, of course, you heard if you were listening, thank you if you were. I was speaking to Sister Sister, star of RuPaul's Drag Race UK, about the abuse she's received online. I mean, here's some of what she was doing.
Drag Race kind of it owes its popularity to the fandom, which is mainly based online, and it's not all doom and gloom. A lot of it is love, but for me, it was getting to the point where I really had to search for it. And as I've now realised, one tweet that heavily criticises you is fine. It's the nature of the show. It's when the tone becomes a little too dark and there's thousands of them coming at you.
Well, one of the ones you highlighted, it was from some keyboard warrior philanthropist, describing how they'd like to see you die and what could be done with your body. I mean, is that the most extreme one you got?
It was way up there. Yeah. And, when you're faced with it and it's just you in lockdown looking at your phone, it kind of feels like this is just it. That other one opinion is the world right now. And
well, it's like if you were having a conversation and someone says, you look fabulous, you look fabulous, you look fabulous 99 times, and then one person says, I don't think you got that quite right. That's what I remember.
Yeah, of course. And the way that we're communicating now is different. We have to accept that the new normal is that we're all talking online. So we have to really consider, I've done it myself. I've started reading through and actually saying out loud, like vocalizing the tweets or the messages before I hit send. How does this sound? The other person on the receiving end of this, what are they going to actually hear? Because it's all well and good putting these things out, but the new normal is now that we're not talking in bars, and we're not exchanging face-to-face conversations. So a lot of the tweets that we're putting out is the equivalent of just shouting one really solid opinion to someone's face.
Yeah, absolutely. Over the weekend, a similarly depressing story emerged. I mentioned it earlier, BBC's monthly union reporter, Sonia McCausland, said that she'd been absenteeised in the online abuse she received for her post-grad interview after Wales defeated England in the Six on Saturday. BBC Sport has strongly condemned the abuse she's received. She's also received support from England Rugby and the Six Nations, as well as many players and journalists and colleagues. Let's talk to someone who has experienced similar abuse during her impressive career. First woman ever to commentate on Match of the Day. Obviously, star of radio, TV, podcast, Jackie Oatley. Jackie, hello.
Hi, Megha.
Hi. How annoying is it that the conversation we are having now is about this? Depressing, isn't it?
It is frustrating. It is frustrating. you wish it didn't happen. Unfortunately, it does, and we wish lots of things didn't happen. But this is something that really frustrates me, particularly because the nature of it is so nasty. And also, this is Sonia McLaughlin we're talking about here. I mean, she is, if you ask anybody who's regularly, even sane, right-minded, who is quite intelligent and watches sport on the television, and you ask them who's your favourite interviewer and what do you want from a TV interview, you'll probably mention the name Sonia McLaughlin because she has guts, she is extremely well respected, she asks relevant, pertinent questions, and she has respect for the people that she's interviewing. And once watching that interview yesterday, you might have felt a bit uncomfortable.
This is Owen Farrell.
Yeah, the Owen Farrell of the weekend. Yeah. So you might have thought, ouch, a little bit, because he didn't want to talk about the disciplinary situation and the refereeing situation. But she asked the key questions that were relevant to the game. Now, can you imagine how he answers it?
Can you imagine, sorry for interrupting, if she hadn't answered those questions?
Exactly, and do people want post-match interviews where the interviewer goes, oh, guess you'll be disappointed today then? I mean, how many times do we see that? You'll be there, this afternoon, I will be disappointed. That was not a question. Sonia asked proper, open questions which beg a response. Now, it's up to the person being interviewed as to how they respond. And Owen Farrell was outstanding in his response. And then she moved on to the next most pertinent issue, which was about England's discipline.
Yeah.
She can't ask those questions. And you don't have to like it, but people don't have to then go on Twitter and be utterly nasty, vile, and ridiculous about it.
And to put all this in context, if you're listening or watching that match, right, listening to or watching that match, that's all any commentator would have been talking about. England's discipline, the penalty that was awarded, the refereeing, the fact that it got to 24-all, and then England faded, and Wales dominated completely. If you don't ask those questions, what happens is that, particularly female journalists, and Jackie, you can refute this by all means, they get slammed for not being tough enough, for not being, knowledgeable enough. So then Sonia does this, and people pile in on her. And you've had similar experiences in the past, haven't you? It's just not this year, last year phenomenon.
No, unfortunately not. It goes back. What's on the social media goes back, really. I mean, you mentioned the Match of the Day thing. Luckily, that was 2007, when people were just trying to get hold of people on Friends Reunited to find out what I would like at school and things like that. Unfortunately, it's moved on since then. I joined in 2009 on Twitter, and it has got progressively worse as more people have joined. And I think particularly during the pandemic, when people aren't going to sporting events, they can't vent their frustration at their team or their manager in person. They can't flag those players or manager off to their mates, either at the ground or in the pub or on the train on the way home. They have a phone in their hands, and I think they go straight to it. But as long as Twitter's been going, and it's not just Twitter, it's all social media, people unfortunately do say the first thing that comes to mind. And I did an interview with Arsene Wenger in 2014 that I'm still very happy with today, in the sense that I asked the key questions that I knew Arsenal fans wanted an answer to, and I put them in a very direct but very, I felt, professional way, and I don't have any regrets about it. Most Arsenal fans were very, very pleased that I had asked those questions. But at a tiny minority, unfortunately, somebody said that they were going to come around my house and cut me and do some other really quite disgusting things that I can't say on the radio to me. And unfortunately, I did actually have to report one person because of the direct nature of the threat.
Were they on social media? So direct, they answered you. They put your Twitter handle on.
And they said they were going to come around my house and cut me, unfortunately. So when it was something as direct as that, and I was told that I should report it, and I didn't want to waste police time or anything, but someone said that there is actually this specific section of the police that deals specifically with these threats, and they managed to track it down to the house and the computer, but because it was a shared computer, they couldn't actually find anybody or take it further. That was fine. I just really would have been nice to them to have a knock on the door and be spoken to. But there have been unfortunately lots of other incidents where people, if they don't like you've asked a certain question, or they don't like you're a female commentator, or whatever it may be, that they then see the lowest hanging fruit to be abused for is your gender, because that's the one thing that's different to them. And even just a few weeks ago, I put on Twitter that I felt an Everton defender was fortunate not to have conceded a penalty in stoppage time, because he elbowed an opposing player in the head in stoppage time. And it was just a matter of course. I didn't think, oh, I'm a female tweeting this, I need to be careful here. And it's just really quite sad seeing some of the responses that were, again, some of them really disgusting, really, and one of them very funny, where they superimposed a picture of a vacuum cleaner in between Martin Keown and me on watching a BBC post-match interview, what have you. But some of them are funny, but then a lot of the time, these people that have used you for your gender on social media, you look at their avatar and they're with their wife and they're cuddling their baby daughter, and some of those I go back to and say, how would you feel if somebody said this to your daughter when she's growing up? But I have remonstrated with a couple of people quite politely in the past, and one or two of them have turned around and said, oh, actually, I didn't mean it, and apologised. Well, you can sometimes people around, but not the bar.
Look, tell me what you think about this. So Chris has messaged me on social media, and was listening to Yvette Cooper a while ago, because I asked Yvette about her view on trolling and social media, and obviously most high-profile people have some element of trolling on social media. And Chris says, surely all high-profile people are going to get abuse online. Yvette Cooper was right, just ignore it. By Sonia McLaughlin going public with her tears, she has become the story. She did well with the interview. She needs to ignore the abuse. Can you put into words, Jackie, why it is difficult to ignore the abuse?
Yeah, I mean, I agree to a certain extent that everybody with any kind of profile will get it. So certainly not just women. I'm not coming on here and saying, oh, it's terrible that people ever go at women. Of course not. I mean, any kind of abuse, or whatever it might be, the way something looks, or their exam, or their gender, or whatever it might be, it's horrible. But when you're on the end of it, and I'm sure being on the breakfast sofa, you probably had comments that you picked up on your way home. But then it's nasty, isn't it? If you're just being honest about it, we're all human, and whilst in this business after a few years, particularly doing football commentary, you do develop a thicker skin. You shouldn't have to have the hide of a rhino to come into this industry. And when people say things that are particularly cutting about your gender or what have you, it can be very hurtful. And I always message people when they've been on the end of this and say, unfortunately, I know what you're going through, and if you want to pick up the call and talk it through, then please do. But also, I know that it will go off for a few days and you'll feel much better about life. But for a couple of days, it can be absolutely hideous.
Can I make clear as well, and I'm not speaking for you or for any other woman or for any other person who has experienced of online abuse. No one who does their job, has a high-profile job, no one minds being criticised. Yeah, you don't have to have the hide of a rhino, as you say, but we are pretty thick-skinned to a certain extent. And if you criticise us fairly, didn't think you got the most out of that interview, I wish you'd asked this, I feel that I haven't learned anything, that's fair criticism, yeah? And yeah, social media, by all means, come in, exchange views. It's supposed to be somewhere to exchange views. It's when it gets personal and hateful, threatening, and when people know, let's be honest, if you're going to tell someone you're going to kill them or you're going to cut them, and you as the person, you've got to be pretty dumb to not realise that person's going to see it. And that's not on. That's where, you can hear it in my voice, that's when I get angry.
Yeah, and I see it all the time with footballers as well. I mean, when fans obviously frustrated at the result, the performance of the play, you think he's not put a shift in or he's not done that. You don't always have to ask them. You can say, I thought so-and-so was terrible today and need to be replaced next season. Or you can have an opinion, or even a strong opinion. But I think when you ask people, it goes beyond the pale. But unfortunately, as you're aware, it's not just a social media thing. I mean, it happened years ago. I mean, when I was 6 months pregnant with my first child, I used to go into BBC Television Centre, and once a week I'd do the sports news on the BBC News channel, and every week without fail I would have a handwritten letter waiting for me in my pigeonhole that I shared with Sean Fletcher at the time. He thought I was getting nice letters every week, and unfortunately they were threatening letters every single week from somebody who looked like they were writing a letter with their long hand and saying things such as, watch out, you have enemies, watch your back, get out of football and leave it to the men. And so it's not just a social media thing, and unfortunately that had to be taken out of my hands by the department of the BBC, who said, yes, all sorts of presenters get certain things sent to them in the post. So it's not just social media, but the fact is it's so much easier now just to pick up your phone and just mouth off. So I would just urge people who maybe have picked up their phone or gone to their computer and flagged off somebody who thinks fair game because they're on television. Actually, they may come across as though they do have thick skin on the television, but those people really will feel it, and even if it's one or two messages, or it can be hundreds, it can have a really damaging effect on that person's ability to maybe even do the job in future and think whether they want to do that. And then you're only going to be left with people who either aren't on social media and don't connect with fans and viewers and communicate with people watching. You know, it's a nice thing to be able to do that. But I think some of those people are going to spoil it for everybody, unfortunately.
You know, I'd go a little bit further. I'd just simply say, if you wouldn't say it to your mother, your sister, your daughter, your father, your friend, but to their face, why on earth do you think you can say it to someone else?
Yeah, and how would you feel if exactly, your mum or dad or brother or anybody, how would you feel if they were being treated like this by somebody? So I think we just need to maybe put ourselves in the position of the person that we're contacting and acting, and think, well, you know, how would you feel if it was someone close to you?
Jackie, always good to hear your views. Thanks very much. That's Jackie Oakley there. And Sonia, if you are listening, you've got all of our support, I'm sure. And you're still brilliant. The time now is 12:31. There's been lots of conversations about border controls. I was talking to Rebecca Cooper from Labour a little earlier. This after a new variant has caused some concerns. This is what Nick Hatfield's looking at. Morning, Nick. Afternoon, Nick.
Yeah, hi Megan. Yeah, this is the really interesting story around today. The variant from Brazil. The government actually been criticised this morning for not bringing in stricter border controls in England sooner. That's after it emerged that 6 people were infected with this variant. One of them in England remains untraced, prompting an appeal for anyone without a test result from February the 12th or 13th to come forward. In other news today, there's a 2.6% rise in rail fares despite falling demand for services. The Department for Transport says the increase of 1% above inflation is the lowest rise in 4 years, despite what it calls unprecedented taxpayer support for the industry. Figures suggest teachers in England are at no greater risk of catching COVID than any other working age adults. The Office for National Statistics found around 15% of teachers tested positive between December the 2nd and 10th. And that's compared to just over 18% of other working age adults. And as we've been hearing about all this morning, British stars have been picked up lots of the awards at the Golden Globes last night. The Crown dominated the TV categories of wins for Josh O'Connor and Emma Corrin, who play Prince Charles and Princess Diana.
Nick, thanks very much, Nick Hatfield there. Delith, you're taking a look at the sport for us. Afternoon.
Afternoon, Schumacher. Yes, horse racing leading the ball again, which is a bit unusual. But owner Michael O'Leary says Gigginstown will continue to support leading Irish racehorse trainer Gordon Elliott, despite a photo that emerged of Elliott sitting on a dead horse. O'Leary has described the photo as unacceptable and grievous, but has called it a momentary lapse in judgment, adding, "We all make mistakes." Elliott has profoundly apologised for the incident, which is being investigated by the Irish Horse Racing Regulatory Board. Our senior sports news reporter Laura Scott is across the story.
There has been speculation Elliott could be facing a ban if he's found to have breached the rules on not acting in a way that's prejudicial to the reputation and integrity of horse racing. We know the BHA is keen for this to be wrapped up before Cheltenham, which begins 2 weeks tomorrow. Then next month there's the Grand National, where, as you mentioned, he's due to be saddling Tiger Roll for bidding for a 3rd win in the race. But there is widespread concern more widely and that this matter could strike a hammer blow to racing's promotion of welfare and the notion that horses receive five-star treatment on and off the racecourse. As one insider told me yesterday, they have no idea how far this goes.
Police in Spain have detained the former president of Barcelona football club, Josep Maria Bartomeu, and raided its offices. 3 other officials have also been detained. The police are investigating allegations that a company was paid during Bartomeu's presidency to boost his profile and spread defamatory content about his opponents. Jose Mourinho believes Gareth Bale is playing to his very best after the Welshman scored a brace and set up another in Tottenham's 4-0 demolition of Burnley yesterday. Bale's now been involved in 7 of his side's goals in the last 4 games. Former Spurs midfielder Danny Murphy argues Bale should have been given a run in the side sooner.
I thought that probably 2 or 3 months ago he should have had a run, just to see for sure. Because no matter how much quality you've got and how much confidence you've got, you need games to get that sharpness. Half an hour here, 20 minutes there, the Europa League game, he couldn't get any momentum. Hopefully now he stays in the team for a little while and we see that.
Several supporters commentary of Everton against Southampton tonight. France head coach Fabien Galtier retains the support of his federation after it emerged he left the squad's bubble on the opening weekend of the Six Nations to watch his son play rugby. France's game against Scotland yesterday was postponed because of an outbreak of coronavirus within the squad, with Galtier providing the first positive test following their win over Ireland 2 weeks ago. John Higgins hopes he's sent out a message to his fellow snooker players that he can still compete at the top of the game. Full-time world champion Rash Ronnie O'Sullivan to win the Players' Championship, his first ranking event win in almost 3 years.
I was maybe a player in the last couple of years. The top boys were maybe coming up against thinking, well, if he plays well, he's got a chance, but if he doesn't play well, I'm not going over pretty easy. So it must still, that I'm still a contender or a full player.
And the British driver Jamie Chadwick will continue in her role as development driver for Williams this year. The 22-year-old winner of the inaugural female-only racing championship, the W Series, joined the British Team's Academy in 2019. That's the latest from the
Time now is 12:35. Buckingham Palace has just released a statement about the Duke of Edinburgh. That's in the last few minutes. It says, the Duke was today transferred from King Edward VII Hospital to St Bartholomew's Hospital, where doctors will continue to treat him for an infection. Well, our correspondent John McManus is outside King Edward VII Hospital for us. John, what more can you tell us?
Yes, Tiger, that news from Buckingham Palace coming just in the last few minutes. As you say, the Duke, who had spent nearly 2 weeks at King Edward VII's Hospital here in central London, where he was being treated for an infection, transferred this morning over through central London to St Bartholomew's Hospital, St Bart's as it's commonly known, where the palace says doctors will continue to treat him for the infection, and they're also going to undertake testing and observation for a pre-existing heart condition. The palace says the Duke remains comfortable and is responding to treatment, but they say he is expected to remain in hospital until at least the end of this week. So that's the latest on the situation regarding the Duke. As I say, he's been at King Edward's for nearly 2 weeks. He was taken in here on February the 16th, but on the advice of his doctor. The palace told us he was suffering from the infection and didn't elaborate any further. They are, of course, usually extremely private about the health of all the royals, but particularly the Duke of Edinburgh and the Queen. And any information we have managed to glean actually came from members of the Duke's own family, with Prince Edward and the Duke of Cambridge both commenting at different times that the Duke was okay, as they said. Prince Charles, of course, was also here at King Edward's last weekend, where he stayed for about half an hour visiting his father. We didn't have any more information on the Duke's condition until this statement that was released just a few minutes ago by the palace.
John, let me read that statement out now from Buckingham Palace. The Duke of Edinburgh was today transferred from King Edward VII's Hospital to St Bartholomew's Hospital. Doctors will continue to treat him for an infection and were undertaking testing and observation for a pre-existing heart condition. The Duke remains comfortable and